The moment I realized my entire marriage was a performance came on a Wednesday night at exactly 9:47 p.m. I remember the time because I was staring at the microwave clock, waiting for it to beep, when I heard my husband James laughing in the other room. Not his polite dinner party laugh or his tired work laugh, but real laughter. The kind that shakes your whole body. The kind I hadn't heard in 7 years. My name is Rachel Winters, I'm 38 years old. And the man laughing in my living room wasn't laughing at something I said. He was laughing at something his phone said. Or rather, someone on his phone. I stood there with a plate of reheated lasagna getting cold in my hands, listening to him through the wall. The sound pierced something in me I didn't know could still feel pain. When did I become the person he had to be polite around? When did our home turn into a stage where we both pretended everything was fine? I walked into the living room. James looked up, his smile vanishing so quickly it was like watching a light switch flip off. "Hey," he said, casually, his phone face down onto the couch. "Is dinner ready?" That gesture, that small deliberate movement, it told me everything I had been refusing to see for years. "Who were you talking to?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. "Just a work thing," he said, already turning back toward the TV. I set the plate down on the coffee table between us. It sounded like more than work. He sighed, the kind of sigh that made me feel small. "Rachel, please don't start, I've had a long day." "Don't start." As if asking a simple question about my own husband's life was starting something. As if I was the problem. I sat down on the chair across from him, not next to him on the couch like I used to. When did we stop being real with each other? He finally looked at me, confused or annoyed, I couldn't tell anymore. "What are you talking about?" "This." I gestured between us. "Whatever this is, we live in the same house, sleep in the same bed, but we don't actually know each other anymore." "You're being dramatic," he said, reaching for the remote. That word, dramatic, the word he always used when I tried to talk about my feelings, my needs, my observations. The word that told me my reality didn't matter. But this time something was different, this time I didn't shrink back. "Maybe I am," I said quietly. "Or maybe I'm finally seeing clearly." He turned the TV volume up slightly. The conversation was over before it began, just like always. I went to bed alone that night. And in the darkness of our bedroom, I started counting. Counting all the times I had smiled my words. All the times I had smiled when I wanted to scream. All the times I had convinced myself that this was just what marriage looked like after the honeymoon phase ended. The number was too high to finish before I fell asleep. The next morning I did something I hadn't done in years. I called in sick to work. Not because I was physically ill, but because I needed one day, just one day, to exist without performing. James left for the office at 7:30 am like clockwork. He kissed the top of my head without really looking at me and said, "Feel better." In that tone people use when they're already thinking about something else. The door closed, the house went silent. I sat at our kitchen table. The one we bought together 9 years ago when we first moved in. Back when we stayed up late planning our future. I remembered how James had insisted on the oak finish because it would age well, become an heirloom. Now it just looked old. I opened my laptop and started searching. Not for divorce lawyers, not yet. I searched for my own name. Rachel Winters. The woman I used to be before I became James's wife. Before I became the manager everyone relied on at work. Before I became the daughter who always had it together. My college photography portfolio came up first. Black and white images I had taken during my junior year. Portraits of strangers who had let me capture their unguarded moments. I had forgotten about these. I had forgotten I once cared deeply about art, about seeing people truly. I clicked through the images, one by one, and realized I was crying. Not sad crying. But the kind of crying that happens when you remember who you used to be and realize how far you've drifted from shore. That afternoon, I drove to a park I hadn't visited in years. The same park where James had proposed to me, down on one knee by the lake, promising me forever. I sat on the same bench and tried to remember what I had felt that day. Excited. Hopeful. Loved. But mostly I remembered feeling chosen. Now, sitting here alone with ducks paddling across the water, I understood something I hadn't let myself admit. Being chosen once didn't mean being cherished forever. My phone buzzed, a text from James, working late. "Don't wait up." I stared at those words. How many times had I received that exact message? How many nights had I eaten dinner alone, gone to bed alone? Convinced myself that his career was important and I needed to be supportive. I typed back, okay. But my fingers hovered over the send button. Something in me resisted. Something whispered, what if you asked for what you needed instead? I deleted, and type, can we talk when you get home? It's important. His response came immediately, something wrong. I almost laughed. Everything was wrong. But also nothing was wrong anyway he would understand or care to fix. We just need to talk. I wrote, can it wait? I'm in the middle of something. There it was again, the message underneath the message. My needs could wait, they could always wait. No. I typed. It can't. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, fine, I'll try to be home by 9. He would try to be home by 9. To talk to his own wife about something important. I didn't respond. I just sat there on the bench, watching the sun begin to set, feeling something crack open inside me. Not breaking, exactly, more like hatching. James came home at 9:04 p.m. Again I noted the time. I was sitting in the living room, no TV on, no phone in my hand. Just sitting in the lamplight. He looked uncomfortable immediately. Hey, he said, loosening his tie. What, sit down? I said. He sat on the couch. The same spot where he'd been laughing at his phone the night before. Rachel, you're scaring me. Good, I said. You should be scared. I'm scared too. He leaned forward. Are you sick? Is someone hurt? Yes, I said. I'm hurt. This marriage is hurt. He sat back, his face shifting into that guarded expression I knew too well. Here we go. No, I said firmly. Don't do that. Don't minimize this. I need to actually hear me. I'm listening, he said, but his eyes had already glazed over. I took a breath. When was the last time you asked me about my day and actually listened to the answer? He blinked. What? When was the last time we had sex and you made sure I enjoyed it too? His face flushed. Rachel. When was the last time you introduced me to someone as your wife with pride instead of obligation? This is ridiculous. When was the last time you chose me? My voice broke on the last word. The room went silent. James stared at me like I had started speaking another language. I choose you every day, he said finally. I come home to you. I work to provide for us. You coexist with me. I interrupted. That's not the same as choosing me. He stood up, agitated. What do you want from me, Rachel? I have a demanding job. I'm tired when I get home. I can't be on all the time. I'm not asking you to be on, I said, standing too. I'm asking you to be present. I'm asking you to see me, see you. He said. But he was looking at the wall behind my head. No, I said softly. You see the idea of me. The wife who keeps the house running, who doesn't complain too much, who makes everything easy for you. But you don't see me. You don't know what I dream about or what I'm afraid of or what makes me feel alive. That's not fair, he said. You never tell me those things. You never ask. The silence that followed felt like a living thing, pressing against the walls of our home. James ran his hand through his hair. So what are you saying? You want to know? I said, honestly. But I know I can't keep living like this. I can't keep disappearing into someone who exists only to make your life easier. He looked at me then, really looked, and for a moment I saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. I don't want to lose you. Then you need to start finding me, I said. Because I'd been lost for a very long time. He reached for me, but I stepped back. I need space. James, I need time to figure out who I am outside of this. What does that mean? It means I'm going to stay with my sister for a while. His face paled. You're leaving. I'm taking a break, I corrected. There's a difference. For how long? He looked panicked now, his controlled exterior finally cracking. Rachel, please. We can work on this, we can go to counseling. We can, maybe, I said. But first I need to remember who I am. And you need to figure out if you actually want to be married to me. Or just married to the idea of having a wife. I had already packed a bag. It was waiting by the door. I picked it up, and James didn't try to stop me. At the door I turned back. For what it's worth, I did love you. Maybe I still do. But I love myself too much to keep living half a life. I walked out into the night air. My sister Emma lived 30 minutes away. I had already called her, told her I was coming. She didn't ask questions, just said, the guest room's ready. As I drove through the dark streets of our suburb, past houses glowing with warm light, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like myself. Emma opened door before I could knock. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "You did it," she whispered. "I did it," I repeated and started crying. She led me inside, made me tea and sat with at her kitchen table. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. I told her about the laughing, about the phone, about the years of feeling invisible. I told her about forgetting my own dreams, about the photography, about the woman I used to be. "I remember her," Emma said quietly. "Rachel who stayed up all night editing photos. Rachel who saw beauty in everything. Rachel who was loud and funny and didn't apologize for taking up space. I miss her," I whispered. "She's still in there," Emma said, squeezing my hand. "She's been waiting for you to come back." I spent the first week at Emma's place doing nothing. Not dramatically nothing, just genuinely nothing. I slept when I was tired. I ate when I was hungry. I sat in her backyard and watched birds. I didn't check my work email. I didn't call James, though he called me 17 times before finally sending a text. "I respect that you need space. I'm here when you're ready." On day 8, I woke up early and felt something stirring. Energy, curiosity. I found my old camera in the bag I'd packed. I hadn't used it in 6 years. I walked to a nearby neighborhood I'd never explored and started photographing. A rustic bicycle against a bright blue wall. An old man feeding pigeons. A child's chalk drawing being slowly erased by wind. With each click of the shutter, I felt more like myself. More awake, more alive. When I got back to Emma's, I uploaded the photos to my laptop. They were good. Really good. I had forgotten I knew how to see the world this way. "These are beautiful," Emma said, looking over my shoulder. "I forgot I could do this." I said. "You didn't forget," she said. "You just stopped giving yourself permission." That night I looked through my old portfolio again. Not with sadness this time, but with curiosity. What if I could do this again? What if I could build something that was mine? I started researching. Photography workshops. Online courses. Local art galleries looking for new exhibitions. I made a list of possibilities, and with each item I wrote down, I felt lighter. James texted again on day 12. "I've been thinking a lot. You were right about everything. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to rush back, to fix things, to make it all okay. But another part, the part that was finally waking up, whispered, "Not yet." I wrote back, "I'm not ready yet. But I'm glad you're thinking." His response was immediate. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here." It was the first time in years he'd said something that felt true. On day 16, I signed up for a weekend photography workshop. On day 20 I started therapy. On day 23 I went on a hike alone and didn't feel lonely. Emma noticed the changes. "You're different," she said one morning over coffee. "Different how?" "Lighter," she said. "Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore." "I'm not," I realized. "I'm not carrying his emotions, his stress, his needs. I'm just carrying mine, and mine are manageable." "Are you going back?" she asked carefully. "I don't know," I said honestly. "But I know I'm not going back as the same person who left. If we try again, it has to be different. Real, equal. And if he can't do that," I sipped my coffee, tasting it fully for the first time in years, "then I'll be okay on my own." Week 5 brought an unexpected message. Not from James, but from an old college friend, Marcus, who had seen my recent photos on social media. "These are stunning," he wrote. "I'm curating a group show at a local gallery. Would you want to submit something?" My first instinct was to say no. I wasn't a real photographer anymore. I was out of practice. I wasn't good enough. But then I remembered. I was trying to stop silencing myself. "Yes," I wrote back. "I'd love to." I spent the next 2 weeks preparing. Printing photos, matting them, writing artist statements. Emma helped me, and we laughed more than I had laughed in years. "You're glowing," she said one night. "I'm doing something that's mine," I said. "Something James doesn't have any part of. It's just mine." The gallery show was on a Thursday night. I wore a dress I'd bought just for myself, red and bold. Emma came with me. And my parents drove down from Seattle. My photos hung on the white walls, illuminated by track lighting. Strangers stood in front of them, really looking, seeing what I had seen. Some asked questions, some just nodded. One woman bought a print. I felt like I was flying. James wasn't there. I hadn't told him about it. Part of me felt guilty, but mostly I felt relieved. This was mine. At the end of the night Marcus hugged me. You're talented, Rachel. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I won't, I said. Not anymore. I had been at Emma's for 7 weeks when I finally felt ready to talk to James. I texted him, "Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? Somewhere neutral." "Yes." He replied immediately. "Thank you." We met at a small cafe neither of us had been to before. He was already there when I arrived, looking thinner and tired. "Hi," he said, standing awkwardly. "Hi," I replied. We sat down with our coffees between us like a border we weren't sure we could cross. "You look good," he said. "Different, but good." "I feel good," I said honestly. He nodded, looking down at his cup. "I've been going to therapy." I blinked, surprised. "You have?" "Yeah," he said. I needed to understand why I stopped seeing you. Why I stopped trying. He took a breath. "I think I got comfortable. I thought just being married meant we were okay. I thought providing and coming home was enough. But it wasn't. I see that now." I waited, letting him continue. "You deserved better," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "You deserved someone who was excited to talk to you, who made you feel special, who chose you every single day." I said simply. "I did." "Do," he corrected. "You do deserve that." We sat in silence for a moment. "I don't know if I can be that person," he said finally. "But I want to try. If you'll let me." I looked at him. Really looked. I saw the fear and the sincerity. But I also saw myself reflected in his eyes. And I knew something he didn't know yet. "I need you to understand something," I said. "If we try again, I won't be the woman you were married to before." "What do you mean?" "I have my own life now," I said. "My photography, my goals, my space. I won't shrink myself to fit into your life anymore. I need a partner, not a roommate. I need someone who celebrates my success, not someone who tolerates my hobbies." He nodded slowly. "I understand, do you?" I pressed. "Because it means you'll have to show up differently. It means you'll have to be uncomfortable sometimes. It means you'll have to choose me even when it's inconvenient." "I want to try," he said. "I've missed you, Rachel. The real you. I didn't realize how much I'd missed you until you left." I felt tears building but didn't let them fall. "I've missed me too." "So what now?" he asked. "Now," I said, "we take it slow. We date each other. We go to couples counseling. We figure out if what we had can become what we both need. And if it can't." I met his eyes. "Then we'll know we tried, and we'll both be okay." He reached across the table and this time I let him take my hand. His touch felt different. Less automatic. More intentional. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "For all of it." "I know," I said. "For staying silent so long." We sat like that for a while, holding hands across a coffee shop table. Two people who had been strangers learning to know each other again. 6 months later, James and I were still taking it slow. We hadn't moved back in together. He came to my new apartment, a small one. Bedroom I'd rented near Emma's place. And we had dinner dates, real ones where we talked about our days and our dreams. He came to my second gallery show. He stood next to me as people admired my work. And when someone asked about the inspiration behind a particular photo, he let me answer. He didn't try to speak for me, he just smiled and squeezed my hand. We were in couples counseling every Thursday. It was hard work, uncomfortable work. We argued more than we used to because we were finally being honest. But we also laughed more. We also touched more intentionally. I didn't know if we would make it. Some days I thought we would. Some days I wasn't sure. But I knew one thing for certain: I would never again sacrifice myself for someone else's comfort. I had learned to choose myself first. And if someone wanted to be in my life, they would have to choose me too. Fully. Intentionally. One evening, James and I were walking through the park where he'd proposed years ago. We stopped at the same bench. "Do you remember what you said yes to?" he asked. "I remember what I thought I was saying yes to," I replied. "Forever with someone who saw me." He nodded. I looked at him. This man I'd almost lost and was slowly learning to know again. Now I know that forever is made of choices. And every day we both have to choose it. "I choose you," he said. "I choose me too," I said. "And then I choose us." He smiled, understanding the order. Me first, then us, not us at the expense of me. We sat on that bench as the sun set. Two people who had broken and were learning to build something new from the pieces. I thought about Rachel from 7 weeks ago. The one who stood in her kitchen listening to her husband laugh at someone else. I wanted to tell her that it was okay to crack open That's where the light gets in. I thought about Rachel from 9 years ago, the photographer with big dreams who thought marriage meant the end of her individual story. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. Marriage, if done right, was just the beginning of a bigger story. One where both people gotta be fully themselves. And I thought about Rachel right now. Sitting here with uncertainty but also with peace. She was okay, she was more than okay. She was finally, fully awake. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. There are so many more stories to tell, and I'm finally ready to tell mine.